Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. You know where you are, the 100-Day Challenge with me, Tigo. And today is so special for me. You know, the young man coming up to the stage today is my friend. He's my brother. He's now a business partner with us, and he's also my coach. Kurek Ashley's in the house, all the way from Australia. What's happening, Kurek?
Well, I am in the middle of a stunning blue sky, cloudless day. Winter, you can't remember we're on the opposite side of the world, so winter is now ending and summer's coming, and it's just stunning. So I
It's
live
so
where the motto is perfect one day and better the next.
See, and that's more positive because here, people say, "Oh, the weather's terrible," and somebody will say, "Well, just wait till tomorrow; it'll be worse." They just
Well,
don't think of it in a positive sense.
you and I are both from Chicago, and I remember when I was a kid growing up, people would say, "Is man, the weather's nasty," and we go, "Well, if you don't like it, wait 30 seconds; it gets way worse."
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it looks like you're getting ready to go into summer, and it looks like we're going to skip fall in a lot of the country. Literally 30-degree lows are happening right now, and people are getting snow in some areas. It's August. August.
So much for global warming, right?
Right. No, that doesn't exist. Haven't you heard? That was all fake news.
Yeah, that went out with COVID. But
Yeah,
anyways,
just exactly. It was just really that cold. Okay, so now that we're being silly for people start sending us hate mail and going, "Did you just say that? Oh my God." We were kidding. We know it's real. It's okay. You know, I want to ask you, you were in hundreds of films, either as a crew member or an actor. And then you came out of that and decided to take the stage. What was the moment when you said, "You know what? I'm gonna go over here and start my new career"? Why did you do that?
it's a great question, Teresa. The amazing thing is I've kind of always done what I do. It was more of a sideline. And I thought that, Hollywood would help me get to do what I wanted to do. The funny part is I auditioned for Disney Studio, Walt Disney, on a Saturday, which never happens. Never do you audition on a weekend for a major studio in those days. And it was for the Mighty Ducks Part Four, I believe it was, which I've never even seen come out. But it was like the main bad guy in the movie. They said if you're auditioning on Saturday, we'll tell you by Tuesday. And um, you know, I never heard from him. Thursday, I go to Georgia to do a speaking engagement for literally a whole community, have all the youth take them through a breaking process where they break a board karate style and change these kids' lives and whatever. And then I'm still in Georgia, and I check my answering machine in those days. For a lot of people, they're going, answering machine. How old are
What's
you?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had like 40 messages. So remember, is I left on Thursday. It's now Sunday, and the first message is, "Congratulations, you got the show. We'll see you on the set tomorrow," which is Friday, but it's now Sunday. And by the 40th message, it's, "You loser. I'm black, but my agent dropped me. Studio said we'll never hire you again. Blah blah
Wow.
blah." I didn't even take the job. Just because I auditioned doesn't mean I took it.
Right.
And uh, at that point, I really felt the stress and anxiety, and I thought about it. Which of these two things would you have rather done? Change all these people's lives, or do some movie that nobody's going to see? And even if it did, who cares? And so I realized this is what I've always wanted to do. And then I asked myself, well, why did you ever become an actor? And
Mm.
that was really profound. And then the answer that I came up with is that I thought if I got famous, people would want to hear me speak. And I realized that when you play bad guys in the movies, nobody really wants to hear you speak. They don't really want to know your story. And so it
Plus, you
started,
scare the audience because you're the bad guy, right?
I have to admit, bad guys are way more fun to play in movies because, see, a bad guy can be good and still bad, but a good guy can only be good. He can't really be bad because otherwise he's not good anymore. So with a
Ah,
bad guy, you can be much more colorful. You have kind of limitless areas you can go to with a bad guy. And so I started my exodus, and I started doing more speaking engagements and more coaching and the rest of those things. And then when I moved to Australia, I just decided, because I got kind of confronted by somebody. He said, how are you still playing bad guys in the movies and yet teaching what you teach to people? It's so different messaging. And then I wanted to say, well, one's acting and this and that. And they said, but isn't it you who says that justification is below the line? And they checked me.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
there you go. And so I just decided to let go of Hollywood. And as soon as I did, my career went through the roof. But the funny thing is now I coach movie directors, producers, cinematographers, composers. So even though I've escaped Hollywood, they keep dragging me back.
They keep dragging you back in. They keep dragging you back in. So I've got to ask you, many people, especially after COVID, because they got furloughed, they got laid off, they were not brought back, and they were doing their jobs for 20 plus years. It's what they knew how to do. And now they had to find a whole new way, and they're terrified. You were acting, working in Hollywood. This was your bread and butter.
Mm.
What advice do you give people that are going, I really, really want to speak, or I really want to write my book, or maybe they want to open a franchise, but they're just frozen in time because they're scared to let go of what they're comfortable with?
It's another great question, Teresa, is that, because I deal with this with people all the time. The formula, there's a formula for success, by the way. If you study successful people and you study unsuccessful people, you'll see there's two different formulas going on. The story is different, but the formula is exactly the same. If you read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, written in 1937, he studied 600 of the most successful people on the planet and found out that their formula was exactly the same. And he wasn't actually looking for that. He was trying to find out, what is the secret to success? Well, the number one thing is that you have to reinvent yourself. You got to remember, as you and I grew up at a time when there were record players and vinyl records, and
Eight tracks.
Well, this is before 8-tracks. And
Right.
they were around for 75 years. And there was things like 8-track tape and cassette tape and reel to reel and all these things that tried to take over. And nobody wanted to give up their record collection. Nobody wanted, by the way, we used to buy albums just for the artwork. I mean,
Yes.
that's, man, that album had Peter Max do the artwork for it. I mean, so you had to buy the album. And of course,
I still have mine. I've got cases of them. I refuse to let them go. I refuse to let them go.
50 original Elvis albums still.
Wow.
I mean, it'd be worth gold now, but it's my youth, so I won't get rid of them. Then CD came in, and all of a sudden, within 2 years, the record industry was gone. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I have a 12-year-old son, if you say CD, he goes, I don't even know what you're talking about. Right? If you talk about iTunes, most people don't know what you're talking about anymore. So you have to reinvent yourself. And so how do we do that? Well, the easiest formula for that would be is have the right mindset, develop some new skill sets, and follow through on it. So if you think about that, with that formula, you can achieve anything you want in any area of life that you want. Is you have to have the right mindset. That mindset would be is that I'm coachable, I'm moldable, I'll ask for help, and I'm going to learn some new skill sets. So whatever that is. So, I'm in my 60s these days. There was no computers, there was no internet, all those things. And I could say, well, learning how to build a website or do an online campaign or opt-in pages, that's not my world. Well, now you're a dinosaur. So
right.
I've learned how to do all those things, even though that's not what I do. But now when I'm ordering that from a service provider, I know exactly what I'm asking for. I know how it works and how it functions, because you can't just tell somebody, build me a website that sells stuff.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. So you have to know your specifics. But that's because I have the mindset of going, okay, if I need to learn it, I'm going to learn it. And I'm going to learn it from the best people who get the best results from it. I don't even care if I like the person or not. If they get the results in that area, I'm going to study those people, take on board the teachings that benefit me, and leave the rest alone. And certainly whether I like the teacher or not, whether I approve of their lifestyle or I don't care what, who cares? But you see a lot of people go, I won't learn from that person because they cheat on their wife or whatever. That's not even my business.
Right.
I don't care. That's their thing. I don't have to endorse them as a human being. I'm studying if they have the results, what do they get those results? So have the right mindset, develop new skill sets, and then follow through.
And people won't get out of their own way. It's like people come up to me and say, "Oh, you know so much. You're doing production, you're doing tech, you're a programmer, you're hosting, you're producing, blah blah blah." And we spoke about this before we even went live today. I didn't come out of a box this way. I had to learn it. But people are like, "Oh, well, I could never." Well, that's why you're stuck, honey. It's because you could never. You're telling yourself you could never, and then you want somebody else to write in and rescue you, or they know you don't know anything about this business. I was taught never open a business that you don't understand, that you can't, explain to someone. Because what ends up happening is the people you bring in charge you way higher rates, work way slower than they said they were going to work. And you're wondering why things are taking so long. Well, learn your business and learn where you want to go. So I can get on a soapbox about that all day and twice on Sunday. I can. But then you go from stages. You're
Mm-hmm.
acting, you're producing, you're doing your thing. Then you go to stages. And then one day you say, "Hey, I'm bored. I have nothing else to do. Now I'm going to write an award-winning book." Huh? How did you get to being an author?
I I had this desire, that I wanted to stretch myself again, do something that I had never done before. Uh, you know, I think there's an elegance to having a book. I don't know. There's a class to it, and so I tried to write two other books before my bestseller called How Would Love Respond. And I basically just wrote myself into a corner. I was babbling on paper. I went to read it myself. I couldn't even understand it. It was just garbage. But I didn't want to die with my music still in me. So I hired a word. See, here it comes again. I had the right mindset. Well, I need some help. And it's funny. I've been friends with Sylvester Stallone since I was 18 years old, and I was going to be on stage here in Australia with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Sly found out, so he invited me to lunch in Beverly Hills and had the governor sitting at the table with us just so we could meet each other, so that when I was on stage with him, that we'd have this connection. And at the table, he said to me, he said, "Kurek, the biggest misconception of me is that I'm a self-made man." He said, "But I've had help every step of the way. The best bodybuilder on the planet, movie star, governor." He said, "But the only reason I got help was I asked for it." See, there's the mindset. So I
Mm-hmm.
hired a wordsmith. I hired 8 different editors because they all had their different skill sets for what I was looking for. A couple of them, the publishers put on, and I wound up firing them because they just didn't understand what I was trying to do. They'd be great at what they were doing. It just wasn't in line with what I wanted to do. Like, for instance, they wanted to change the title. They go, no book has a question as a title. And I said, like, "Who stole my cheese?" That one? And they go, "Well, that's an exception." Okay, well, mine's an exception. I learned publishing, I learned publicity, I learned online campaigns. So the whole time I was writing the book, now just for everybody's humor here, my father, now I'm my father's only child. My mom, she raised 7. She was just more friendly. My dad, he found out from my stepmom that I got a publisher and an agent when I was on the phone with her, and he cried. This is my dad. So
Wow.
when my stepmom told me about it, I called my dad up and I said, "Hey, Dad, you're very emotional. I heard about me getting a publisher and an agent." He goes, "Yep, I am." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "I didn't think you could read, let alone write."
Oh, goodness.
My dad wasn't being cruel. I barely graduated high school because to me, high school was a social event. It was a great place to meet girls and hang out with your friends and goof off. I never cut school. I had teachers who would say, "If you cut class, I'll give you a better grade." So my point to everybody listening right now is that if I can do it, anybody can do it. But you can listen consistently to my mindset is that if I need to learn that to get me where I want to get in life, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to ask for help with it, and then I'm going to apply it and follow through on it because the fortune's always in the follow through. I thought How Would Love Respond was going to take me 3 or 4 months to write because I do hundreds of presentations every year around the world. I just figured, say it, write it down, boom, you got a book, easy. Then you find out very quickly that the spoken word and the written word aren't actually the same thing. Because as a speaker, you have tonality and gestures and pausing. And then
Right.
then my strategy for writing was I want a dramatic pause, so I put comma, 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 comma. And the editor goes, "What is that?" I go, "It's dramatic pause." And they go, "And you're an idiot. That's not grammatical. You can't have 400 commas." And so I go, "What if I just leave a long blank space?" And they go, "No, that looks like a typo. What do you?" So I had to learn, how do I communicate what I can communicate on stage, but through the written word. Now, here's the funniest part. Now I get paid by people to teach them how to write best-selling books and become a best-selling author.
Wow.
So I didn't know how to do it. I learned how to do it. I did it. And now I get paid to teach other people to do it because I had the right mindset, develop some new skill sets, and I follow through on it.
So in between that, acting, producing, and here you have this award-winning book. In between all of that, you're an amazing coach.
Thank you.
You know, you're my coach. You coach all over the country and the world. I mean, you're literally in Australia right now. That's home. But you coached an Olympic team, correct?
Yes. Yes, I did.
What was that about? I mean, how did you end up doing it? And wow.
Well, I do want to correct you, Teresa, is that I didn't coach an Olympic team. I took some athletes to win gold medals at the Olympics. So, because that's a little different. And
Yeah,
the funny thing is that they were bronze medal winners from the 96 Atlanta Olympics. And I was giving a seminar in Brisbane, Australia. I was new to the country in those days. I didn't know who's in the audience. And I said, "Who here remembers the person who stood on the third box at the Olympics?" Everybody rush out to buy your book thinking, "Oh, gee, how'd you get third?" And a girl stands up. She goes, "I was on the third box at the Olympics." I said, "Whoa, and you're a big girl too, I could see." I said, "Ma'am, I don't know who you are. I'm not picking on you." She says, "No, I'm upset because everything you said today was true. And will you take me to win gold at the Sydney Olympics?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And so for the next 2.5 years, I worked with the Australians women's beach volleyball team, and we beat the best team in the world, the Brazilians, and came home with the gold medals. Here in Australia, it was rated as the #1 most exciting event in the 2000 Olympics was the women's beach volleyball finals, in which the prime minister, which is like the president in the United States, but the prime minister of Australia, I met him at a function. And he said, "Man, you're the guy who took the women's beach volleyball team to win gold medals." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "We stopped the government to watch the finals." Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
I go, "There's nothing more important than girls in bikinis, right?" And he goes, "Man, it was a spectacle. It was the battle royal." But also, Teresa, is every sports team, every athlete I've worked with, every one of them wins. The reason that happened, not by the way, I don't even know the sport most of the time. The reason it happens is because I cheat. I choose winners. Now, winners are the
Ah,
people who have the mindset, who go like
mm-hmm,
Natalie, one of the beach volleyball players. She wouldn't have taken no for an answer that day. That's the mindset. Because
mm-hmm.
sometimes people are going to say no to you out of a knee jerk reaction. They just because they get asked all the time. I say no to people because I want to see how they're going to respond to it. If they
Right.
go, "Oh, okay, all right, well, see, that's not it." But when a person, there's the beach volleyball team from Britain, uh, the current team, who they're in, one of them's in Arizona right now. She's a student, and she contacted me because she read one of my gold medalists' book and contacted me and said, "Hey, would you talk about coaching us and this, that?" And I talked to him and I gave him a price, which I know is way out of their price range because I wanted to see how they would respond. And she called me back like 3 weeks later. She goes, "I know you charge a lot. I can't afford it. I'm a student, but I want your help anyways."
Mm.
I go, "Great, let's work together." She goes, "But I can't afford it." I said, "We're already past that." And, apply and put the strategies into play. And man, her career and her game went right through the roof. See, so it's playing the game at that different level. And I do it with companies, I do it with corporations. I've worked with Seagate and Apple and then mom and pop businesses and
And
worked
me.
with you, which is, I've watched you just exponentially grow. But that's not an accident, Teresa, that when you and I was on your show and then we talked afterwards and I said, "You know what? I'm going to coach you because you're going to see who I really am." But I already saw winner in you. Now it's just like polishing the diamond. Like the diamond's already there. It just needs some fine tuning to finally hit the frequency.
And I got to thank you because not only did you see what I could not see because I was blinded by the light, and helped me get through that and be able to stand comfortably in my own shoes, which isn't the easiest thing to do in the world sometimes. But then on top of that, we're about to launch a television network called Squirrel Vision, right? And I'm talking to you about Squirrel Vision and basically saying, man, I wish I could have a Keurig. And you were like, I'm here. What are we doing? So you're not only my coach, my friend, my family, but you're coming in as our director of navigation for this new television network that we're about to launch. And I just want to thank you so much because it's the next pillar and everything that we're doing and having you on this journey and navigating for us. We're going to follow your lead, and what a blessing to have you at the helm, sir.
I thank you, Teresa, and it's all because of your vision of who you want to become and what you do on a planet. Everything you do, Teresa, has always got a note of improving people's lives around the world. That you always want to make their condition better. So no matter it's business, and yes, we want to make money with the business because that's what business means. Make money. It's not a dirty word. Yet everything that you do is based in making positive changes for people's lives. Is what I do. And people want to whine and complain about how the world sucks and it's worse now and prices now and the government now and all that stuff. Okay, we can sit with that and become victims to it all, or we can be the people who change it. And
Right.
that's what you've always been focused on. That's what I'm always been focused on. And I also noticed that's what
Yes, sir.
you and I both attract around us is like-minded people who are going to make the
Yes, sir.
change. And even Buddha himself said, be the change that you want to have happen. Be it. And it will start to happen. And it was a no-brainer for me. But also is what an awesome opportunity to create something as awesome as Squirrel Vision. And the funny thing is, every time I have a conversation to people about it, they go, "That is awesome, man! I can't wait to see that." Man,
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
I want my Squirreler T-shirt.
Yep,
I'm a Squirreler.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I'm a squirreler. That's what it is. I might get a tattoo. I'm a squirreler. It is absolutely so much fun. And then we had this idea. I had this idea of doing a docu-series, for the domino effect, because I really believe that there's a domino that falls throughout your life. I've had many. I know you have too, that changes the trajectory of your life. And we're talking about it one day during one of my sessions with you, and you're like, why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, why am I not doing that? And we are now doing it. It's an edit right now, 26 interviews coming up. It's a series. It's not even a documentary. It's a docu-series. Not only did you help me flush that idea out, I want to thank you for that, but you're also a part of this journey of domino effect, and couldn't do it without you. I'm so glad you joined us and so many others that are part of this project. You're amazing.
thank you, Teresa, and what a great concept. Because I think my dear friend John Hirschfeld. Now, John is an award-winning movie director and writer. John's also Sylvester Stallone's best friend. They were roommates in college. John was still is my Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. He took me under his wing when I was 18 years old and raised me and educated me and taught me movie making and all kinds of different things. And John always said to me, he said, Kurek, everybody in life gets a shot. And it all comes down to what do you do with your shot? And I said, I know that. I believe 100%. And he goes, yeah, but the thing that people don't understand is that you never know what your shot looks like. And a lot of times it's not as obvious as you think it is. So treat everything as if it's your shot. And that's really what the domino effect is all about. It's that moment when it looked like it was dark. It looked like it was cloudy. It looked like, man, things are going to work out. But somehow you persevered through that. And then that's what launched all the greatness that came to your life afterwards. So that would be known in scientific terms as perturbation, to go through your challenges, to grow on the other side of those challenges, to be bigger and better than you've ever been before. And that's what I love about the show, is because you hear from these amazing people who've had amazing stories, and some of them trials and tribulations that you go, man, I don't know if I could make it through that myself. And they
Right.
do. And then on the other side of that, what it's produced. And I think it inspires everybody who watches the show that wait a minute, I'm going to come at things with, again, a different mindset, even when I'm being challenged, to go, man, this could be my shot to be my domino effect. And I think the show really helps people find that moment in themselves so that they can turn the ship around for their own personal experience and certainly for their kids. And it's one of the things I do with my son is I always teach him that, in adversity is where the greatest gifts come. Not that you're looking for problems, but when they happen, it's going to force you into growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I promised you we'd go about 15, 20 minutes. We're way over that. But it's just always amazing to just sit and spend a little time. And the messages that you share really gets me thinking. And I think it gets our audience thinking, why am I not moving forward? Why am I telling myself I've got to wait? Because for the most part, I blame it on other people when I was younger. Oh, it's that person's fault or this situation or it's just too cold outside. But when I got a little bit older and really started moving and was consistent, I realized it was just me blocking me, me telling me I couldn't do that. That's not for you, and that's not true. If you want to go for something, I say go for it. And if you want to be a part of this group, get somebody like Kurek. Better yet, get Kurek. How do they get in touch with you? If they want your book, if they want to be at your next event, if they want to be a client of your coaching, how do they find Kurek?
Easy. KurekAshley.com, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, Kurek at KurekAshley.com is my email. Pretty easy. Can't forget that one. If you write me, I promise to write back. I always do. It's funny. People go, I didn't want to bother you. I go, but I gave you permission to contact me. Well, I'm sure you say that to everybody. Yes, but you'd be surprised how little people actually follow through on it. Remember, mindset, skill sets, and follow through. The fortune's always in the follow through, Teresa. And, people, when they meet me, they go, but you're the same guy on stage that you are in person. You're not like a character or a profile or something. I said, no, because I'm trying to teach people if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, I've been homeless. I've lived in my car for long periods of time, over a year and a half, sometimes in LA, which, by the way, it's not glamorous. It's not a great seminar story. Unfortunately, you really go through it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And that's, Teresa, you're the same thing. That's why we're kindred spirits right from the beginning, is everything we've gone through to get to where we are. And I would say is, we have this belief system that, well, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm this, I'm that. Well, I would like somebody to tell me what is the right age, because either you're too old or too young. What? And then that one day when you finally go, it's it, and you go, oh, that was yesterday, missed it. It's now. It's right now. This is the only time we have. And because of experiences I've gone through, I've been very close to my own death and certainly the death of a lot of other people. I realize that we're all on borrowed time. It's not really the bullet that's got your name on it. It's the bullet that's got the anonymous name on it for anybody. And all day long, every day, we're dodging bullets. Car accidents that happen in front or behind you on the freeway, that it could have been you if you'd left 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later.
Right.
So
Exactly.
live this day as if your entire life is in this day instead of this is just another day in my life.
I can't think of a better way to end this interview. I love speaking with you. I love spending time with you. And now you're part of the team, you're navigating our team. And that is just so huge. I know we're just getting started. And thank you so much for, sharing this 100-day. If people don't know, if it wasn't somebody like Kurek saying, yep, that's a good idea, go for it, I wouldn't have done this 100-day. I thought of it, and then I thought, am I crazy? I can't do that. And he said, absolutely, you can. And now we're well into 60 plus days of this 100-day challenge. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
My pleasure, Teresa. Love you heaps. And, Teresa, you should be really proud of yourself because, when you first came up with this concept to even fill 100 spots, and you have people jumping in the boat like fish that want to be caught. It's an amazing thing because they know you, they know the quality that you put out, they know the messaging that you put out, and you almost want to make this like the 500-day challenge now because you have so many people wanting to be on the show with you, and that's just a testament of who you are and what you put out into the planet.
I appreciate you for saying that. I think the family would literally put a target on my head if I did 500 straight days, but it's absolutely amazing. You know me, I'm going to do it again. You know I will. It'll probably be an annual thing that I'll end up doing. Somewhere Alan's going, no. No, but what we will do, instead of doing it live the way we have been doing it, we'll probably pre-record quite a few of the episodes and then air them 100 days out. Because I'm in my car sometimes going, I'm supposed to be somewhere in like an hour. Where am I supposed to be? And then it hits me. 100-day challenge. I have to turn around and run back and get in front of the studio. But
Yeah,
thank you, brother, for hanging out with me today. You are the best.
you're the best. Love you heaps.
Love you too. All right, everybody, you know what to do. If you want to reach out to Kurek Ashley, it's really easy. Kurek Ashley. KurekAshley.com, at Kurek Ashley. He's amazing. Don't sit there and go, oh, I don't really know him. You will want to know this man. The first time we spoke, we were supposed to talk for 10 minutes. That was it. 10 minutes. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours. It was absolutely amazing. You know, check him out. You're going to see him all the time. And for now, I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you, tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.